So, what happens when the very people who are supposed to uphold the law are the ones breaking it? Well, in this explainer, we are diving deep into the sworn testimony of a lead investigator. Her case, which seemed pretty routine at first, completely spiraled into this massive cover-up, and it ended up revealing a web of corruption that went right to the very top of law enforcement.
Now, everything we're about to talk about comes directly from one incredibly powerful source, the official transcript of a Judicial Commission of Inquiry. And our guide through this whole story is the lead investigator, who's only identified as Witness B. What you're about to hear is her sworn testimony, what she saw, what she experienced firsthand.
And this quote right here, it really gets to the absolute heart of this entire thing. Even the lead investigator was just stunned by the official reaction to this one particular arrest. I mean, what was so special about this one guy that his arrest triggered this huge coordinated response from the highest levels of law enforcement? To figure that out, we have to start exactly where she did, with a digital breadcrumb trail.
You see, before all the chaos erupted, there was the evidence. In modern crime fighting, digital forensics is just, it's king. It gives you this undeniable, time-stamped record of what a person did and when they did it. And in this case, that foundation was built so meticulously, piece by piece, connecting the suspects to the crime long before anyone had a clue about the storm that was about to hit.
Okay, so to follow this digital trail, the investigators were leaning heavily on cell phone data. And the key terms are actually pretty simple. You've got MOC, which is a mobile originating call. That's a call made from a phone. And then you have MTC, a mobile terminating call, which is just a call made to the phone. And with just that basic data, they could pretty much reconstruct a suspect's every single move.
And right here, you can see all that digital proof just locking perfectly into place. The team cross-referenced two different sets of phone records. So at 11:36 a.m., a call comes in. A few minutes later, a call goes out between the two suspects. Bam! Both phone records confirm it. Then you've got vehicle tracking and cell tower data confirming they were traveling together. Literally every piece of data backed up all the others. It was airtight. So this timeline really lays out the story that all that data was telling. After a few calls to coordinate, the suspects meet up. They leave in the same car, and then they spend a whole 2 hours together in this industrial area called Duncanville. And as you can see, that location is just 544 meters from the victim's business. The digital evidence basically put them right at the scene of the crime.
So when the investigators finally confronted him with all this, what was his excuse? Well, he claimed he wasn't even there. He said he'd, get this, accidentally left his phone in the other suspect's car. It's a pretty simple alibi, right? But it was one that all that digital evidence was about to completely demolish. I mean, the crucial point here is just common sense, right? You can't accidentally leave your phone in a car and also be making and taking calls on it at the same time. The records showed constant activity on his phone during the exact time he claimed he was somewhere else. He wasn't just there, he was actively using his phone. He was lying. And with evidence this airtight, this case should have been a slam dunk. Instead, this is where things just started to unravel. Okay, so this is where the story takes a really sharp turn. The focus suddenly shifts from the criminals to the investigators themselves. Because as their case got stronger, the danger they were in got more and more real, forcing them to take a step that was pretty much unheard of.
And this is the question that changes absolutely everything. If the digital proof was so clear, so rock solid, why on earth did the entire team of investigators suddenly need to be moved out of their homes, away from their families, and hidden away in a secret safe house? I mean, what or who were they running from?
According to Witness B, that move to the safe house was, and I quote, the best thing that could ever happen for the investigation. And why? Because of, in her words, encounters from all different spheres. But then she adds the most chilling part, even amongst our very own. The threat wasn't just coming from the outside, it was coming from inside the house.
So, the response to this was to bring in the PKTT. Think of it as this elite, multidisciplinary task force. They had their own criminalists, their own analysts, ballistics experts, tactical officers, the whole shebang. They essentially created this self-sufficient, secure bubble that no longer had to rely on any outside departments that might have been compromised.
And now we get to the absolute climax of this investigation, the arrest of one of the main suspects, Gatiso Malefe. This was an operation that was meticulously planned to be simple, clean, and quick. But instead, it just descended into what you can only really describe as a coordinated ambush.
The plan itself was textbook stuff. Simple. Two teams would arrest the two main suspects, Katiso and Lucky Molefe, at the exact same time. The whole point was to prevent one from tipping off the other. Strategic, effective, should have been easy.
But what actually happened was pure chaos. As the arrest team moved in on Katiso Molefe, they were suddenly just besieged. Out of nowhere, the Hawks, that's an elite police unit, showed up in massive numbers. Then, a police helicopter appears, hovering right over the house. And to top it all off, an off-duty Metro police officer who was supposed to be at home sick shows up and starts confronting the investigators. It was a circus.
And the excuse the Hawks gave for all this? It was almost unbelievable. They claimed they were responding to a random tip that people were pretending to be the Hawks at that exact address. I mean, come on. It was such a flimsy excuse for what was clearly an overwhelming and obstructive show of force.
And that sick Metro officer? Well, in his own statement, he admitted that before the raid, he had run the license plates of the investigators' unmarked surveillance car and then reported back to the suspect, Katiso Molefe, that the police were watching him. This wasn't just interference anymore. This was active counterintelligence for a criminal.
So, while one suspect was getting arrested under siege, what happened to the other one? Lucky Molefe? He vanished. Just gone. And the manhunt that followed revealed that he wasn't just a fugitive on the run. No, he was being actively protected by some incredibly powerful forces.
I mean, just think about it for a second. After a raid that involved helicopters and multiple elite police units, how does the other key suspect just disappear? The answer, it turns out, came from a very, very unexpected source.
Yeah, in a really stunning twist, members of the suspect's own family, trying to prove they had nothing to do with it, voluntarily handed over their phones. And what did the investigators find on them? WhatsApp voice notes, coaching the fugitive, warning him to stay away, and even revealing exactly who was hiding him.
This line from one of those voice notes is absolutely bone-chilling. An unnamed they are saying they can take the fugitive under their wing with just one simple condition, that the police cannot get a hold of him. So the big question is, who are they?
Well, Witness B testified that after more digging, they learned this group was known as the Big Five, a powerful cartel that was now using all its resources to actively hide a wanted man from the police.
And this protection, it wasn't just coming from some shadowy cartel. No, the interference was coming from the very top. The investigators got what could only be described as a veiled threat from a very senior police general.
In a phone call, this general made several disclosures that sounded a lot more like warnings. He mentioned that the suspect's group had powerful mining interests. He casually dropped the names of their associates, people who had ties to high-level political figures. And then, most disturbingly, he said an update on the case wasn't for the police commissioner. It was, and I quote, for the other side.
All right, finally, let's circle back and look at the actions of the man at the center of that whole chaotic arrest, because his own words in court really provide the final damning piece of this entire puzzle.
So, when he was applying for bail, Katiso Molefe submitted a sworn affidavit to the court. In it, he stated very clearly that he had no previous convictions. But, well, the investigation uncovered the truth, a major conviction back in 2004 in the UK for possession of Class B drugs and 2 prohibited firearms. He flat out lied under oath. And as Witness B explained, he only tried to rectify this lie after his lawyers saw the state's evidence and realized, oh crap, we've been caught. This wasn't some act of honesty, it was a desperate attempt to cover his tracks on a lie he really thought he could get away with, probably believing his UK record was way beyond the reach of local investigators.
And that really brings us to our final question. This testimony paints this incredible picture of a system where different arms of law enforcement, from a metro cop all the way up to a general, appear to be actively working to obstruct justice and protect a criminal enterprise. And it leaves us with one crucial lingering thought. When the very system that's designed to protect the public is instead protecting the criminals, who is left to protect us?